away a bit of my unnecessary exoticism, let's say.
Well, it is the way shamanism is presented. So it's normal. A lot of people have that, and also there is this magical element to it, and the beauty of the costumes and the drums and the songs. There is an absolute beauty to it that makes it very easy to be in admiration. There's absolutely that element. So I think there's nothing wrong with that. It just needs to be corrected at some point, and it has to be, for me, the essence of shamanism is to find a way to be in harmony with your surrounding. And for us, our surrounding is our work, our job, our life in the cities, the trains we have to go in, and the supermarket. So the shamanism that we have should be aimed at balancing that, and not becoming a shaman, but just to be able to function in the villages and cities where we live.
So my next question is also related to this. In the workshops, you teach us how to let's say, at least create a relationship with your spirit helpers, and work with giving them messages, and also ways of let's say receiving messages, or being open to messages or answers, at least. For me, as let's say, let's use the terminology, the amateur league, at least, or something like that, or the aspirational shamanic practitioner, it's not always easy to distinguish between let's say something that just comes up in my mind, or maybe something that would be a real intuition, or let's say a message. And so what could help you to distinguish between just an overactive imagination or something that is might be truly helpful sometimes?
Well, I wrote this paper actually that Celine and Catherine have given to everybody when they started in the groups, and a lot in this paper is about that. It's a very complex question. I would say it's impossible to filter yourself out anyway. So this is again a myth that there should be some kind of pure answer from spirit, which is then good, or there is, like what you say, my overactive imagination. There's already a judgment in there. So there is like my intuition or information or fantasy is like less worth than the pure message from spirit. I understand where it comes from, but that is a polarity that's not necessarily helpful. If the spirit exists, I don't have to convince anybody, not even myself, of that. Then the spirit lives in a world with different laws of nature. Their experience of time is different. We know this. They are timeless. Their experience of form is different, because a spirit can transform from a bear into a woman, back to a bear. We cannot do that. So spirit is free of form and time compared to us. How should a spirit then explain to us who live bound by time and form how certain things work? They cannot really know our experience, just as we cannot really know their experience. So I think that if this is the world we live in, and this is the world of spirit, whatever spirit wants to say can only touch the border of our world, because they don't really, it's like we have to meet the spirit at the border of the world, spirit world and our world. And there, the information we get from spirit has to be, by necessity, translated into language that we understand. So, for example, just an idea that I sometimes say, maybe a Christian nun would see a certain kind of spirit as an angel, but a shaman would see a white swan.
Yeah.
You know, the image of the angel is already in the nun's dreaming soul, in her symbol language. The shaman speaks in terms of the swan. So the spirit always needs to use our own symbols, our own language, our cultural language, our personal experience. So if we start to discard our own part in that, then we are in trouble. So the balance is really is not to think in terms of pure right messages from spirit and my own fantasy, which is useless. Spirit may want to say, I once had this spirit said to this woman, or I don't know if it was spirit or whatever, but that she should go to like 12 mountains in the world and put a crystal there. And I said, well, did spirit also give you the train tickets and the air tickets and the hotel tickets to do it? Oh, no, she didn't. I said, well, then tell the spirit that if you want to do this, you really need like 10,000 euro to do this just for the first 3 travels, and ask them to provide the money for that. So, you know, spirit can want what they want, but they always speak from their perspective and they don't know the limitations of our world. So it's really 2 ways. When spirit says something, it's not that we are obliged to believe that or follow that. We have to present ourselves and say, spirit says this, well, I say this, and you have to come to an agreement. So I see it much more as a cooperation than as me receiving something of spirit that is by definition good and right and I should follow it. No, that puts me in the position of a child, and I'm not interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
So there is more to say about it, but this video goes to all the people in the group, and I would recommend they check this paper because I speak about this more in this paper. I think it's called Shamanic Practice or something. And if they don't remember, they can ask Celine and Catherine to send the document to them.
Mm-hmm. There is another question that sprang to mind. Like in the workshop, there is always the interaction between, well, several participants. So there is always a healer and somebody being healed, or in some form it will always emerge. And let's say in the workshop, I feel safe to take the role of the healer, because I know it's a controlled environment, and I trust the process, let's say, of the workshop. But in my personal life, I'm much more hesitant to take on that role. Yeah, and what would be the let's say what way could I be more confident to take on that role?
Yeah, 2 things. One is a classic in shamanism, you never start anything without activating your support system. Now, in a workshop, we do that all the time. We start by greeting the directions. That sets the first frame. Then with every exercise, we invite an animal, a force, a power. And through the prayers and the work we do, that field of containment becomes stronger and stronger. So then it becomes very easy and fast to slip into the role of client, practitioner. So that is, if you want to practice at home, you need to have such a container, not with the same intensity as in the group, obviously. But if you make a little altar with the 4 directions, and in each of the directions, 1 or 2 animals that you appreciate, and you put an image of the ancestors in the north, and the energies of the earth and the grounding in the south, and you connect with that more regularly, then that is always on standby. It's not that you have to do a ritual with that every day. I don't do that at all. I don't do a ritual every day to keep that intact, but I've been practicing many years. But I have several altars in my home. I have several altars like that, quite basic. And I will just, a few times in the week, I will just say, hey, spirits, how are you doing? It's a Thursday and it's raining and blah, 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 blah. And I'm here and I wish you all the best. And then I go away and I say, oh, spirits, may the house protect you and may you be protected by this house. It's very simple. It's small things, but that builds a relationship so that when I need to do a ritual, either for myself or for somebody else, then I go more consciously. I take my rattle, spirit of east, south, west, north, and they're there as strong as in a workshop. But that is because I built this relationship with small, 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 small moments of connection. So if you have built a relationship like this, of course, the field around you is different than in a workshop, but you will definitely feel supported and not on your own. The shamanic practitioner does not work on his or her own. Always, there's the spirit, there are the forces. Here am I, here is what I have to do. And I hold both. One part of me is connected to all that supports me. And with that, I can look at what I have to do. Mm-hmm. Working alone is not an option. So that's the practice. The practice is not healing the client. The practice is building a relationship with spirit in a very simple, direct way.
But let's say you have a friend who's in big trouble, and you know he needs help. Of course, you can help him every which way you can help him. But then I'm very much hesitant to, let's say, take out my drum, sing for him, and try to make, let's say, try to bring his problem in contact with the spirits, let's say. Yeah?
But are you talking now, is the friend with you or are you on your own?
Well, let's say I would like to bring him into this, but to me there's a hesitation to say like, hey, I can help you with
Sure.
this. And so I never invite people to do that work with them. And I don't know if it's
thank you, very good. When I had serious trouble with my eye some years ago, so many people told me, oh, I can help you. And they gave me the most crazy information. And like, if I would have followed all the advice, I would have lost my eye 3 times. The wish to help is beautiful, but just instead of going to that person saying, I can help you, I think it's much more kosher, it's much more hygienic to turn to spirit and to say, I see my friend is suffering. I recommend that you, spirit who supports me, will be with him in his dreams or guide his steps. I put you in his hands, not to change him, but I want to see him connected to that what supports him. And if there's anything I should do, may my own logical thinking, may my intuition tell me how to approach this. So the impulse to help is beautiful and is a human impulse and should always, it's wonderful if you can follow that. But most people, or people sometimes make the mistake to then go to the person immediately, while what I've seen with my teachers and my friends, long-term practitioners, traditional practitioners, they always, the prayer comes first. Mm-hmm. The prayer comes first. And then, of course, when somebody's in acute trouble, you just help. When somebody's drowning in the water, you take him out of the water. That's clear. Mm-hmm. But when there's these chronic problems, people are stuck in their patterns, whatever, ask spirit to support them. And ask spirit to let you know if you should do something or not. But usually the voluntary help, the help that is offered without being asked, is not helping so much.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. Again, liberating.
Well, one very famous Lakota medicine man, his wife died of cancer, and specific cancer, and he was known to be able to heal that, and he had healed several people of that. Fullscrow is his name, and his wife died, and people said, why did you let her die? Why didn't you heal her? Because we know you can. And he said, she never asked. And she died. She didn't ask. And he knew what to do, but he couldn't offer it without it being asked. It's a spiritual law. So praying for people is always permitted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's even on some level an obligation. Some people say that we should spend some time in prayer, recommending all those and creation itself and all that lives into the hands of a greater intelligence. The master plan that you mentioned. Maybe it exists, maybe not, but if we connect to something larger and intelligent and that can influence things in the world, then we recommend our friends and our family and those we love and the world leaders and all that's happening and say, please be with us, guide us.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
this, yeah.
in the prayer, for a friend in need, the prayer would be more, may he find help, than please Spirit help him.
You can see what feels right. You can also do a mini constellation, like put a stone for the friend, put a stone for that which will support them so that they can change in the way that they need to change. But you don't say he should do this or should do that, but you say, here is the friend and here is that what they need so that they can change for the better if they choose. And then you put that together and you say, may they find the help they need.
Mm-hmm.
May they find the strength to take the steps they need.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But you try to create a context. But what happens in that context is not our choice. It's not our business, actually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. I was also thinking that the spirit of the group that is now a bit left in suspense, because we didn't physically meet, let's say. Is there perhaps something you could suggest to the participants of the group to connect to the spirit of the group? Something that's we all in isolation or all in our own land or at our homes. Is there a way we can connect? What would you suggest?
Well, there's a few very simple ways. If there are some people that you felt like a personal connection to and you did exercises with them and it felt really nice, ask Celine and Katrien for the address list and send them a message and say, shall we sometimes do something together via Zoom or whatever? That's one way. Another way, obviously, is when you do your practice, you can actually visualize uh, being in the group room. You can visualize seeing the wheel of the four directions. You can visualize hearing the sounds of all the rattles. So you can mentally, spiritually, however you want to see that, connect to the field of the group. And that's another way. You can make that part of your practice. That's one way. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
This is a little bit risky because I'm not sure it's going to happen. But what I'm at the moment exploring is what I would like to do is offer shamanic singing maybe once every 2 weeks where I am available, where I sing with the drum and with the rattle for 1 hour. And people can just connect to that with their own intention. It's not an interactive thing, it's not a workshop, but simply that I will be singing and drumming and people can connect to that. And then that will be some people from the Paris group, it will be people from other groups and trainings. So I'm thinking of creating a structure where I can call the powers that have always been present in the group with all of us, and that people can do a journey at home or just lay there and hear the sound and fall asleep if that's what they want.
mm-hmm.
But I need to set up a structure and a little web shop, and it's a bit complex, but I'm working on it, and it's probably coming, but at the end of summer,
Mm-hmm.
that I will have a structure where I will be available once every week or every 2 weeks on 2 different times so that people in other time zones, Latin America, for example, North America, that they can also do this in an evening. So I'm thinking about it, but I have not had very strong how can I say? I usually do these things when dreams tell me when to do them. And I have not had very strong impulse to do it. But I know that things like that will come, but it's not this moment yet. It will be a bit later. So I will do my best to create a possibility of connection for people, at least through me singing live.
I would look forward to it.
I'm actually also looking forward to it. So I've started to talk. I actually made a little WhatsApp group with somebody who can do logistics and somebody who can do technical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there is some stuff to figure out. But slowly we will work on this. I don't guarantee it. I expect that by the end of summer this is in operation. And if it happens, then of course Celine and Catherine will inform everybody that this is an availability.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. How will we know about it when it's ready?
Yeah, the people who are who get the information about the groups will get it, and I will also place it on my website. Maybe even send out a newsletter. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good if it becomes available, but I don't want to be problem solving, and I don't want to do a workshop. I just want to be available that people can work independently at home, but knowing that we are all doing that at the same time. I think that will give a good strength.
Okay. Thank you very much for all your answers. Is there a question you would like to answer yourself?
Well, I think the Corona time is so unusual on many ways that what I find very interesting is that it's very difficult to get a sense of the future. Like normally you might say like, oh yeah, I'm planning a trip to Australia and it will be in 2022. So I have 2 years to prepare it. And you really sense the journey is there. Mm-hmm. But if you now think, I'm going to do this in 2022, it's like, it's almost as if there's no way to grab that. So we cannot really predict much of the future. There's so much uncertainty. Do I keep my job? What's happening with the climate? What's happening with the political situation? So many uncertainties. Will you get Corona? And how is that going to affect you? Mm-hmm. So there is an enormous opportunity because of that to be in the here and now. When you start to try and grab the future, you will lose a lot of energy. So for me, it's really a practice to really be more and more in the here and now. Mm-hmm. And not in the past, because we cannot go back to the life before Corona. It's not coming back. Even if there will be a vaccine and if we can get, the spritz and we can get the whole economic situation has been, disrupted. Mm-hmm. Social structures are being disrupted. The world before Corona will not return. We can only go forward, but we don't know where it's going. So the past is gone and the future is not here. It's almost like a Buddhistic situation.
Yeah.
But really, what I find very interesting is to follow the guidance that is really about the here and now. How do I use my time now? And of course, you can include a prayer like, Spirit, help me to find, the guidance, or help me with the energy I need to be able to pay my bills, to be able that I still can take care of my children the next years. Open my eyes that I see the opportunity that this time gives me. Give me the courage to let go the things I will no longer need or that no longer serve me. For me, the prayer is really much, much more about today, about now. And sometimes the answers that come are stop this, or start doing this or this. And it may not always feel very sensible, but I find it personally very interesting to accept the uncertainties and not losing a sense of a compass pointing in a certain direction. Mm-hmm. And it's almost abstract what I say, but I find this a very big gift of this time. And it's not easy because it's very frightening. Many people have very little income, or they see friends. I had friends very sick in hospital. Some people I know died of corona. Something's going on, right? Many of the people who will see this will have lost their jobs or are not certain anymore about their life situation. So what the practice is really here and now.
Yeah, I think that's the safest space to be.
And then if we are in the here and now, there's a grounding, and there's also usually the panic for the future becomes much less. If you're truly here and now, is it what should I do today? How can I improve my situation right now in the next hour? Maybe I should just clean the bathroom or whatever. Sometimes that's the guidance, you know, or call a friend or take a walk or prepare this or do that. To give examples is not so helpful, but the practice is really now, now, now. And then to still surround myself with the directions and the spirits. And some spirits have no answers. I was supposed to do a Zoom meeting, a ritual for people in Latin America or Spanish speaking people. And the people from the Mexican organization, Constelaciones Mexico, they organized it. And I canceled it because I could not feel spirit. When I attuned myself to that ritual, it was like spirit was not there. And I had the feeling it's not for me to do it at this time. And it was quite radical because I normally don't cancel things. I don't do that very easy. But I had to because I can only be available for people when I'm surrounded by spirit. And sometimes I find a lot of the time spirit is not there in the same way it was before Corona. And instead of trying to get back to what was there, it's much more interesting to say, okay, so the old prayer is not there. The wheel feels different, but who is there now? Which relationship with spirit am I building today? So not going back to what was, not trying to fix the future, but how can I organize the support now? How can I be grounded? How can I integrate my feeling, my mind, my body, my emotion, my thinking, my soul? It's interesting. And then it becomes actually a very rich, you know, I have no income the whole year. It's gone. I cannot lead the groups for obvious reasons. I could try to fix that. I can also say, okay, I have savings. I can be this year without work. I have enough money in the bank, not forever, but at least for now. Good. I don't feel the push to try and make it work. The guidance I have is just be in the here and now. That's what I do. Very interesting.
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage for a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's not always easy. And of course, we have obligations. It's not that I'm without obligations if I don't do the groups. So it's a balancing act. But I think this is really it's not necessarily a gift of Corona, but we can make this a gift, I think. The practice to be really in the here and now and see how is my relationship with spirit now. Power of the East, who are you today? Power of the South, West, North. And don't try to go anywhere except to arrive in that wheel, in the here and now. It's interesting. It's a good practice.
And so there is, you sense that you're developing new, let's say new prayers, new directions. Is it like a new exploration to unknown territory in that way?
I think personally, I don't know, but this is just my own. It's not guidance. This is just my own thinking. There is so much chaos in the world right now, so much unpredictable energy happening. We can go anywhere to a better planet, to a totalitarian ruined system. It can go anywhere without 1, 2, 3 years. So nothing is certain. And it's like spirit can also not tell me what to do for the next 5 years. So because all these structures are disintegrated, it's like spirit is also, they cannot tell us what to do all the time. So if we keep it very close, like what's for the next day, for the next week, then there can be some guidance. But the prayer is much more now, more than ever. Spirit, I'm here. You surround me. Help me to keep my mind sharp, to recognize the opportunities. Give me the courage, power of the West, to not look to the past all the time, to let go the expectations. Spirit of the East, brighten my eyes that I can see what's going on. Find the appropriate response. Power of the South, in this period of poverty for many people, of fear, of disease, help me to find my body, to ground myself right where I am and take care of my body and my life in a good way. It's much more about the here and now. And then it's wonderful, actually. It has wonderful grounding aspects. Yeah.
Thank you. I think that will be helpful to a lot of people to hear that.
Well, I've been talking with some individual people. Sometimes people write me or send me a message. And I find that this seems to be a number of people that I know for years. They're also, it's like the shamanic journey doesn't necessarily work anymore the way it used to work. The answers don't come in the same way. There's not, when it's small and very close by, it's clear. When we try to make bigger things, not so much is coming. So I'm not trying to make that happen, because obviously there's a reason for that. I don't know what it is, but I think there's too much motion. So we keep adding our prayer. I did a lot of things that really make me happy. I danced a lot, sometimes hours every day. And really, because I said in this time of fear and illness and stress, we should keep the qualities of joy and gratitude alive. So I danced really during the lockdown. Most days I danced 2, 3, 4 hours every day, just dancing and feeling good and saying, this is my contribution to the collective. Let's not forget that happiness is still possible. So I wasn't doing rituals. That was what I did. It was wonderful, a wonderful way to use part of the time.
And a wonderful way to be able to share something now with our participants from the Paris group.
Yeah, I thank you for the initiative. It was an interesting journey we had with several emails going back and forth. And this came out as the result. And I'm very, very pleased. And I say hello to everybody. Hello. So, and hopefully we will see each other tomorrow. I have, after the weekend, Catherine and Celine and I have a meeting via Zoom or WhatsApp or whatever. And we're going to make choices about the future. So many things are uncertain, but hopefully one day we can start again in a good way.
Yeah, let's all pray for that.
Yeah, and then the groups might also look different in what we do and how we do it, because the times are different. But we definitely try to make it work, but it has to be possible.
Okay.
But this was a great impulse, so thank you. And
thank you for all.
When that thing comes available that I sing for people and do this, you will all definitely hear about that.
Cool. Looking forward, and thank you, Catherine and Celine, for the organization once again. Bye bye, Daan.
Adios, Gert and everybody. Cheers.